Bart caught a three-eyed goldfish by the lake. News of the mutant fish instantly made the newspapers. The governor ordered an immediate investigation of the nuclear power plant. After getting out of their vehicle, the inspectors opened their Geiger counters. To their surprise, radiation levels were already exceeding safety limits before they even entered the building. Burns claimed that every nuclear power plant was like this. The inspectors discovered that cracks in the cooling tower had been sealed with chewing gum. Plutonium rods were being used as paperweights. Radioactive liquid was even dripping onto documents.
Yeah, well, it's always been like that.
In the monitoring room, Homer was sound asleep and snoring. Nuclear wastewater in the workshop had already risen to knee level. Seeing this situation, Burns led the inspectors to his office. He wanted to resolve the problem with money. Unsurprisingly, the inspectors refused his bribe. In the end, Burns received a citation. He was ordered to either make improvements or shut down the plant.
Good day.
Oh, well.
Burns asked how much the renovation would cost. The manager calculated it would be $56 million. Burns, who loved money like his own life, felt his heart bleeding upon hearing such an astronomical sum. Burns then took out a bottle of wine he had treasured for a long time. He drank glass after glass until nightfall. Burns walked through the empty nuclear power plant, tossing his wine glass around carelessly, and accidentally woke up Homer. Only then did Homer realize it was already past quitting time.
Echo! Echo!
Walking out the door, he found Burns sitting alone in his car, crying. So Homer knocked on the window.
Mr. Burns? Sorry, sir, it's just me, Homer Simpson.
Burns invited Homer into the car and told him what had happened during the day. Homer suggested that Burns run for governor. That way, he could decide for himself whether or not to renovate the nuclear plant.
Where are we going, sir?
To create a new and better world.
If it's on the way, could you drop me off at my house?
Soon, Burns had assembled a campaign team. Although the current governor had a 98% approval rating, money could solve anything. The team included speechwriters, joke writers, makeup artists, and even a personal trainer. No matter how sleazy the boss was, they were confident they could transform Burns into this. Burns still had one problem: how to defeat the incumbent governor with such stable approval ratings. The team leader said not to worry. The team included experts in gossip, slander, and rumor mongering. Their mission was to transform the governor's upright and dignified image into a rat that everyone wanted to beat. What needed to be addressed now was the three-eyed fish incident.
I hate that fish.
Burns went on television holding the fish. He didn't believe the three-eyed fish was a strange species. To prove his point, he even invited an actor dressed as Darwin. Darwin stated that such changes were signs of progress. Burns even called the three-eyed fish a superfish. After their spiel, Burns's approval rating rose by 6 points. When the original governor was interviewed, she expressed that she wasn't worried at all. She believed the voters were very wise and had the ability to make the right judgment. She then continuously did good deeds in various places around the city and even made the newspaper headlines. Burns' approval rating skyrocketed. Surveys showed he had too little contact with ordinary people, so the team suggested he have dinner with employees from the factory. Burns looked at the monitor and immediately chose Homer.
Well, I knew there would be sacrifices.
The dinner was scheduled for the evening before the election. When Homer got home, he told Marge about it, but Marge supported the current governor. She didn't agree to let Burns come to their house for dinner. Homer's face became distorted with anger. He told the children to step aside because what was coming next was not suitable for minors.
Please, 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 please.
Marge eventually agreed. At this point, staff had already arrived at the Simpson house in advance. They arranged appropriate lines for everyone. The staff even threatened that if they didn't follow the script, their family would never be able to live in Springfield again. Homer was frightened and quickly agreed. Before dinner began, makeup artists applied makeup to everyone, not even sparing the family cat and dog. The latest polls showed the two candidates were tied. Now it depended on whether Burns could turn the situation around.
Whoa, he's here!
Soon Burns knocked on the Simpson family's door. Unexpectedly, the family pets knocked Burns down one after another. Burns suppressed his anger and entered the Simpson home. His every move with the pets was captured by reporters. At this point, Burns was already ahead of his opponent. He just needed to get through this stage to dinner. The Simpsons said the prepared question, and Burns handled them with ease. At that moment, Marge brought out the carefully prepared main course. She hadn't easily abandoned her principles.
All right, three-eyed fish.
Marge placed the three-eyed fish in front of Burns. The room suddenly fell silent. No one dared to speak. Only the campaign manager frantically gestured for Burns to eat it. Burns' hand trembled as he put the three-eyed fish in his mouth, but he couldn't swallow it. Finally, the piece of fish was spit out. Reporters frantically took photos and put this story on the news headlines. In the end, Burns' approval rating plummeted. The campaign team left in a hurry, leaving only Burns to vent his anger at the Simpson house.
Smithers, tip over this table for me. Yes, sir.
But smashing these worthless things couldn't satisfy the hatred in his heart. He decided to go home and smash something more valuable. Before leaving, he didn't forget to threaten Homer, who had ruined the election.
That your dreams will go unfulfilled.
Uh-oh, you're busted, Dad.
Homer couldn't sleep that night. He was afraid his future would be destroyed. If that happened, he would have no hope in life. Marge comforted Homer. If a man's dreams consist of dessert after dinner, family companionship, and the occasional sleep-in, then no one can destroy his dreams.
Hey, you did it!
Homer got pufferfish poisoning the very first time he ate sushi. He only had 24 hours left to live. His bucket list was so long, yet time was so short. How should he make the most of the final hours of his life? Homer had been eating only high-fat foods for years, which meant the whole family had to eat these unhealthy foods along with him. Nearly every day they ate things like meatloaf and pork chops. Lisa felt like she'd be eating this stuff from cradle to grave. Homer asked her what she actually wanted to eat. Lisa said anything except meat would be fine.
Fine, we'll go to Marge.
Marge suggested they try the newly opened sushi restaurant. Homer hadn't eaten Japanese food in all these years. He was extremely resistant to the idea, but he couldn't withstand withstand Lisa's persistent pleading. At Lisa's request, the Simpson family went to the Japanese restaurant. The moment they walked in, they were startled by the waiter's enthusiasm. Marge and the kids ordered one by one, but Homer stared at the menu, not knowing what to order. He randomly ordered a few things, and soon the dishes were brought to the table. Homer pinched his nose and tried a piece of sushi. Only then did he discover that sushi was surprisingly delicious. Homer went from not wanting to eat to eating non-stop. He ordered everything on the menu. Then he noticed the only thing he hadn't tried was pufferfish. The waiter's expression turned troubled when he heard this. He advised Homer not to order pufferfish, but Homer wouldn't listen, and even urged the waiter to hurry up with the order. Right at that moment, the master chef happened to be away. An apprentice came to him saying the kitchen needed his skilled hands.
My skilled hands are busy. You'll do it.
Left with no choice, the apprentice had to operate while holding a book and following the tutorial. He concentrated as he made a cut on the pufferfish.
I want to go!
Homer finally got to eat the pufferfish he'd been craving. After tasting it, he thought it was absolutely delicious. Just then, the master chef returned from his work and noticed something was wrong. He quickly came over and apologized to Homer, telling him that the food he'd just eaten was poisonous.
Poison? What should I do? What should I do? Tell me quick!
The waiter gave Homer a map to the hospital. Homer sat on the hospital bed, still trying to reassure himself. After the doctor's examination, he had to tell Homer the truth, but Homer said he'd already seen the result on Marge's face.
Oh, it's good news, isn't it?
No, Mr. Simpson.
The doctor told him he only had 24 hours left, after which his cardiovascular system would rupture, and he would die.
I'm gonna die! I'm gonna die!
The good news was that Homer wouldn't feel any pain before tomorrow evening, but before death he would go through 5 stages. First, denial.
No way, because I'm not dying!
Second, anger.
You little
Then fear would follow. After that came bargaining.
Doc, you gotta get me out of this. I'll make it worth your while.
And finally, acceptance of death.
Well, we all gotta go sometime.
After returning home, Marge kept crying. Homer pointed out that he was the one who was dying. He had now accepted reality and planned not to tell the children about this. He wanted to use tomorrow's time to complete his bucket list. With so many plans, Homer set his alarm for 6 a.m. When the alarm went off, Homer turned it off without delay. When he woke up again, it was already 11:30.
11:30? Oh, that's just great!
He came to the dining table, ate some food casually, and left. The first item on the list was to have a heart-to-heart talk with Bart. Homer went to Bart's room and called him over.
Oh, man.
No! I just want to have a heart-to-heart talk.
Homer taught Bart some truths about life. Then he was going to teach Bart how to shave. Homer tore off a bit of tissue paper to stick on the bleeding spots, then applied some toner. Homer didn't have much wisdom, and most of it was wrong, but he still passed it all on to Bart without reservation.
Oh!
Why, you little...
It was like that when I got here.
Bart's ability to learn and apply what he learned moved Homer. Next on the list was listening to Lisa play the saxophone and recording a video for little Maggie. Homer went to Flanders' house and borrowed a video camera. Flanders also invited Homer to go on a picnic together tomorrow. Without thinking, Homer agreed to Flanders' invitation.
Joke's on him. I'll be dead by then.
After returning home, Homer sat in front of the camera and talked to the grown-up Maggie. Homer had finished all the items on the list for the children, but he was still worried about his father. He found Abe, had a heart-to-heart talk with him, and gave him a hug. Then Homer was about to leave. Just then, Abe wanted to call him to go fishing together. Homer wanted to refuse because there were too many things left to do, but seeing his father's eyes, he decided to break his plan. Homer and Abe sat in a boat fishing on the water. He casually crossed off the next plan. They played baseball together and played in the mud puddle to their heart's content. Abe consumed what little time he had left. Homer could only squeeze in a bit of time on the road. He wanted to press the gas pedal right into the engine. Just then, a damned cop just had to stop Homer. Homer now just wanted the cop to quickly write the ticket so he could leave, but he didn't expect the cop to deliberately antagonize him and refuse to write the ticket. The cop even threw Homer in jail.
Look what else your tax dollars pay for, huh?
Now Homer didn't have much time left. He had to find someone to bail him out, but he didn't want to upset Marge at the very end. So Homer called his good friend Barney.
Hey, Homer, go to the window. Hi, neighbor. I can see you. Just get over here and bring $50 for bail. $50?
Barney turned his house upside down and barely scraped together $50. When he heard Homer only had a few hours to live, he decided to take Homer out for one last drink. Only then did Homer think about saying goodbye to a few old friends. So they went to Moe's Tavern. Homer drank his last beer. Finally, he kissed each of his good friends goodbye. After saying goodbye to his friends, he had to get home immediately, but Barney's car took half an hour to fix and still wasn't ready. Homer looked at the last item on the list. He immediately got out of the car and planned to run home. When Homer got home, he perfunctorily kissed the kids goodbye, then anxiously pulled Marge upstairs. Soon Marge fell asleep, but Homer was reluctant to sleep. He went to the children's rooms and said goodbye to them one by one. In his final moments, Homer chose to face death alone. He found a Bible tape, put on headphones, and sat on the sofa. After listening for a while, Homer fell asleep. When Marge woke up, she found Homer was gone. She saw Homer on the sofa, having passed away peacefully. Suddenly, she noticed drool at the corner of Homer's mouth. When Marge wiped it, she discovered it was still warm.
Wake up, you're alive, you're alive!
What are you talking about?
You're alive!
I'm alive! I'm alive!
Trapped under a pile of boulders, Mr. Burns fought for survival in desperation. When hungry, he ate spiders and centipedes. When thirsty, he drank mole milk, clinging to life with sheer willpower. But back in Springfield, news of his death had already spread. When passersby saw Burns alive and well, they thought they were seeing a ghost. Meanwhile, Homer and his colleagues, long exploited by Burns, silently gathered at the cemetery.
Who's grieved?
The unknown soldier?
Here I am.
On the day Old Man Mountain was set to be officially designated a national natural landmark, the Simpson family joined the crowd to watch. Bart rolled his eyes. What's so interesting about a stupid rock?
You promised you'd stop making that comparison. Agreement!
Through her telescope, however, Lisa spotted a tree growing right in the eye of Old Man Mountain. Homer frowned with worry. If that tree grows too big, it'll ruin the landmark. Eager to do something good for Springfield, he snuck up the mountain, muttering to himself as he worked. I've done so many bad things in my life. Helping this old man is at least one good deed for Springfield.
Man.
While Lisa recited the tribute poem she'd written for Old Man Mountain, the ground suddenly shook violently. The mountain statue began to wobble. As the statue crumbled, Burns didn't even have time to react before he was buried under the falling rocks. The disaster happened so fast. Smithers, his assistant, tried to rescue him, but it was too late. He broke down in tears. His plan to confess his feelings to Burns that night would never come to fruition. On the way home, the family was still in shock. Lisa mourned, "The tribute poem I wrote for Old Man Mountain is now a relic." Marge suggested, "We could publish the poem in a newspaper to honor the mountain." She decided to create a commemorative newspaper for Old Man Mountain. After Burns' death, Smithers drowned his sorrows in alcohol, reminiscing about the past, until a familiar voice spoke up behind him. Burns had survived the disaster, though he'd suffered a bad blow to the head. Thanks to his thin frame, he'd fit into a narrow crevice in the rocks. In that desperate situation, he ate insects to stay alive, found a mole den along the way, and drank mole milk to regain strength, finally crawling out of the rocky grave that had trapped him. Burns couldn't wait to turn on the TV, eager to see how people were mourning him. But even after the disaster, everyone was still grieving the loss of Old Man Mountain.
Quickly, Smithers, rehydrate me.
Determined to improve his image in Springfield, Burns set his sights on buying the town's largest media group. But the group's owner was tough. Even though Burns' offer was tempting, the owner refused firmly. With the power of his wealth, however,
Wanna split an ice cream sundae?
Done and done!
Burns eventually monopolized Springfield's media industry. He was quick to announce the news of his miraculous survival. Newspapers ran photos of him looking kinder and more approachable than ever, while TV coverage of Burns took a complete U-turn, calling him a great leader and a noble American. To boost ratings, he hired popular hosts to attract adult viewers. Burns then turned to cartoons, spreading messages about the benefits of nuclear power and how it made daily life easier, trying to brainwash kids into believing nuclear energy was clean and pollution-free. Lisa sensed danger, and people were gradually losing their right to speak freely. She knew she had to stop him. As the only remaining uncontrolled media outlet, Lisa didn't hold back. She published articles accusing Burns of being a monopolist. When Burns saw the negative coverage about himself, he immediately summoned Lisa, trying to buy her last remaining media platform. Lisa stood her ground, refusing to sell her newspaper. But Burns had already researched her likes and dislikes. He brought out an offer she might not refuse. A white horse trotted in, and Lisa was momentarily dazzled, but she quickly regained her senses. Burns upped the ante, calling in 2 more ponies. The ponies danced around Lisa to cheer her up, and her resolve began to waver.
And their breath smells like peppermint.
Once again, Lisa snapped out of it and rejected Burns' gifts. The ponies then dropped their cute act, revealing fierce expressions, as if their earlier charm had just been an act. After the failed acquisition, Lisa published another issue of her newspaper, vowing to fight against capital to the end. But danger lurked as she delivered the papers. Car after car rammed into Homer's vehicle. When they reached the bottom of a cliff, Homer opened the door only to find themselves in a rattlesnake sanctuary. Faced with death threats, all members of Lisa's newspaper team decided to quit the fight. Now, Lisa was left to continue alone, until she realized Bart was still standing by her side, holding his ground. During this time, he'd come to understand that resources are more powerful than fists. Burns finally lost his temper when he saw the satirical cartoons about him in Lisa's paper. He decided to silence her using non-violent means. He cut off the Simpsons' power, leaving Lisa unable to print her newspaper. Luckily, Homer had saved 2 batteries, which kept the printer running for a little while longer. When that last hope faded, Lisa stormed back to school, swearing under her breath. Just then, Principal Skinner offered his help. He took Lisa to the school basement, showing her a mimeograph machine that didn't need electricity, so she could keep her newspaper going. Taking a deep breath, Skinner recalled a past memory. This very mimeograph machine was all that remained from a similar fight for free speech long ago. Burns sighed in frustration. I can't believe I'm caught up in a battle with a little girl. Determined to defeat Lisa once and for all, he called Homer into his office, trying to dig up dirt on Lisa to discredit her. Under Burns' coercion, Homer took a pill prepared for him. In a daze, he spilled every detail about Lisa.
She's into Buddhism, whistleblowing, totally against pollution, no matter what I say.
With this key information, Burns quickly published a newspaper with the headline, "Lisa Simpson is a bad girl, confirmed by her father." Seeing the negative news about herself, Lisa felt utterly defeated. Burns pressed his advantage, releasing a fake story that Lisa has a crush on Milhouse. He even projected an image of the two kissing onto the moon for everyone to see. Burns was pleased with himself, but he didn't expect Lisa to fight back. She published one final issue of her newspaper, then gave up, bursting into tears and complaining about how unfair everything was. Homer watched his daughter's sorrow and felt deep guilt. To cheer her up, he stayed up all night publishing a special issue of the newspaper, expressing his support for Lisa. Lisa was touched, but she also came to a realization. A small newspaper can't change the world. Through Lisa's struggle, the people of Springfield woke up to the importance of independent media. One by one, everyone started publishing their own newspapers, proving that even if a tycoon controls all the major media, more people will stand up to voice their opinions.